Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Slay to Success talk show. My name is Rochelle Slay Queen Hemingway, CEO and founder of Slay to Success. I advise and empower women professionals, especially women veterans, to step up into their most authentic personal brand to gain and attract lucrative opportunities. And we are doing this by mastering personal branding. Okay, and personal branding, it is four areas: that is appearance, behaviors, communication skills, and our digital presence. Once we refine these areas and then really master them, we get all the things that we desire and we deserve. I especially like to work with anyone that is aspiring to become an entrepreneur, those are looking to seek public facing roles, or someone who's ready to do something differently in their life. Okay. And so we start from this word slay. Slay means to kill it, to dominate it, and to nail it, to be on point, to impress greatly, to dream big and work hard until you own it. It is also an acronym that stands for Universal Life and Leadership Philosophies that really resonated with me the most. So I packaged it all up into the word slay and use it as an acronym as well. And that is stay ready to be ready, lead out loud, a sense of community, and knowing you are built to last. So come on in. Okay, this is the space. This is the place that you want to be in tonight. Y'all, I'm about to get real vulnerable and transparent. It is just me tonight. Usually I have a guest that comes with me or here that I feature. But tonight, y'all, it's just me. So hopefully you are coming in here to have a conversation with me. Make sure you put into the comments where you're streaming in, your name. Let me give you a shout out because you decided you want to spend a little bit of time with me. And I know it's football season. Okay, I get it. All right. There's a lot of other competing factors. So I won't be on here for very long, but I did want to continue to stay on the show, and the show will still go on whether or not I have somebody with me. So on this show, we talk about living on our own terms, doing things differently, creating a path that has been less traveled, and doing it our way. But instead of being the best kept secret, we are being bold, we are being authentic, and we are stepping into the territory and we're going to figure it out. Okay, we're going to figure it out because I understand more and more every single day that I have more years behind me than I do in front of me. And so, what am I going to do? So, I decided to become a professional keynote speaker, a personal brand expert, and author of 5 books so far, as well as a certified image consultant. And y'all, I served in the Air Force, led in the Air Force, sacrificed in the Air Force for 30 years. All right. I retired in October of 2021, and we moved from South Dakota to Maryland without really knowing, understand this area. But once we got here, we started to realize, and we is my husband and our son, is this is where we were supposed to be. So I want to talk to you about repackaging your greatness. Now I know on the title, I don't know why it shortened it out, or I don't know what happened, but that is really what we're going to be speaking to tonight, is how to repackage your greatness. Because most of us that are listening in, or you come back for the replay, you have done that, whatever that is, and got about 1,000 t-shirts. All right. And so in this next chapter, you're wondering, what can I do? What really brings me joy, passion? What is it that I can do without even really getting paid? Now, we're going to get paid. Okay. But if it came down to it, how would I feel? Okay, every day waking up to doing, and you put it in the blank, whatever that is. So I'm just going to share with you all a little bit about my journey. Now, many times people say they are very intrigued about what I do and how I do it. And I don't really see it as intriguing, if you will. I just decided one day that these are the things that I like and these are the things that I'm going to do. And I just been putting my energy and my effort towards certain areas so that way I can grow and scale and really elevate now that I have a business. So if any of you are looking to become an entrepreneur, to doing something differently, this show is for you tonight. So again, I'm going to go back, all right, to revisit the beginning of this journey that I've been on for the past 4 years. So I was at South Dakota. I was command chief, master sergeant there. I was serving there. I served there for 2.5 years. My husband, Dominique, he retired about a year before me. So he was waiting for me. So during that year, we were talking through what we were going to do when we retired. We really didn't have a solid plan. You know what I mean? Like we had done things right to set us up so that we could just decide where we wanted to go, but we didn't know, particularly at first, we were going to move to Virginia. Why? Because we were stationed there at Langley for 3 years, from 2012 to 2015, and we really did like the neighborhood that we were living in. So we lived in Carrollton. So I don't know if anyone is ever familiar with Virginia area, but we lived in Carrollton, Virginia. And we really liked the neighborhood. I didn't like the drive. I was driving over the James River Bridge every single day. And if anyone has ever driven over that bridge, it's the most scariest thing because it goes very steep, 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 and then it drops down. So I don't like riding roller coasters or any of that kind of thing. But because of the neighborhood, I was like, I guess I can do this every day. It was peaceful. People minded themselves, right? There wasn't a lot of distraction going on. So it was a safe place for us to go back, take refuge, because at that time, we were in the higher leadership roles. It's a lot of stress. All right. So, anywho, when we were in South Dakota, we were going back and forth. Like, well, we should just move to Virginia, that we really like that place. Then our cousin, my first cousin, Karen King, who is a realtor here in the DMV area, and she is really great at what she does. She's been doing it for almost 30 years. She said, hey, I heard y'all were retired. You were thinking about going to Virginia. Have you ever thought about going to Maryland? No. Well, let me look in Maryland. And she found our home. So Dominique came out here, y'all, during COVID, because I could not leave, with the camera going around into the new home and taking pictures. And that's the way that we decided to actually buy the home. So get here, and I'll tell y'all, the first 6 months that I was here, I was absolutely anxious. I don't even know what the right word is, but I was so anxious and so overwhelmed because number one, we had never lived here before. 2, the traffic is really, really crazy, and there are a lot of people here. 3, I didn't know about the school. AJ's school is about 600, 700 kids in the school. So I was more nervous for him than I was for anybody else. But then I thought, well, what am I going to be doing? You know, I had zero clue as to how I was going to start to do anything. I hadn't had that time or the space to really figure out what it is for what I wanted to do. So I decided to take a break. And I think for the first 6 months that we were here, I walked around in the neighborhood, y'all. I just walk. Neighbors were asking me, who I was, where did I work? When I said I retired from the Air Force, they looked at me like I had 10 heads. It was a whole situation. But during these walks, and I still take lots of walks at night, just to decompress, because I am one of those persons, like I work out in the morning, but I also need movement in the evening before I go to bed, because now what I'm doing, I have rewritten my next chapter. So a lot of things are happening on a daily basis, and I just need to ground myself, because in order to keep up, it is somewhat similar to when I was in service, but it's so different. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I was busy and doing a whole lot of things when I was in service, but a lot of that stuff that I was doing was not for my own, it was for others, and it was a lot. So I didn't want that to look like this in my next. So, anyway, I had these highs and lows and in betweens. And the 6 months, I really didn't know who I was without the uniform on. Like, literally did not know. When people would call my name and they would just say Rochelle, I would freak out. I'm like, you talking to me? Oh, yeah, that's my name. That's right. It's not Chief. Okay. I had to get used to my first name and no uniform. No one was calling me. I mean, they called me for a little bit because there was some situation happening right after I retired, but it wasn't to like check in on me or anything like that, or to, like keep up on what I was doing. All that kind of disappeared. So in my head, I was just reeling. What am I going to do with my life? And also the question of, did all of the best years just pass me already? Like 30 years? Were those the best years? And I don't have really anything left on this other side? Because I can't come up with anything right now. I don't know exactly what I can do. So I got challenged, y'all, by a mentor to write a book about my experience in the military. And I decided, okay, I'll write the book. But I wasn't trying to publish it or anything. I just wanted just to write my thoughts, my experiences. I wanted to own my narrative, because so many times when we are doing what we do and we do it in excellence, we don't see it. And I wanted to write out, at first, when you challenge me to do anything, I'm going to just do it. Okay. Because that's just sometimes how my brain works, right? But I wrote the book, and it took me a while to publish it. But when I decided to self-publish it and just put it out to the world, things started to shift big time. One of the things that I truly like to do is to speak. I like to talk. Hence why I have this podcast, if you will, which I call a talk show, because I'm just always in awe of anyone who can hold stages. I just like to share on stages. I like to see expressions of people in the audience. I like to connect to another human being. I like to inspire and motivate. These are the types of just interests that I have. So once I wrote the book, people were calling me to come and speak. And I was like, oh, okay. So I would go and speak at ceremonies, and this is the military. Now, the military still loves me. Thank the military. Y'all still love me. Okay. But I decided to go back and to share what I had learned, the lessons that I had learned while I was in service. And from there, I just started to just really dive into those other areas, Like, I love to dress up. Now, if anyone knows me and they have seen me, um, I decided to take it onto another level. Yes, I like to dress up, but the color that I express every single day is pink. Anytime you see me, you know that I'm going to wear something pink. And it was one of those things that I just took on as, okay, I need to build my wardrobe out. What can I do that's different, that's bold, that's vibrant, that's energized? Because that's how I feel in the inside, y'all. You know, I don't look like what I've been through at all. And if anyone knows my story, which is a lot, there's a lot of layers to the story. And I know many of us that have worn the uniform have many stories to share. And some of that was just painful. And some of the things that I think about, I have to process. Before, I was compartmentalizing, right? I would just put it away and just move on to the next thing. I would put it away and move on to the next thing, because if you sit in the pain for too long, it does something to your mental capacity. And so I had to learn how to do that. But over the past few years since I retired, I really had to sit with the feelings and the emotions that have been happening and work through them. All right. Instead of dismissing them. But the true energy that I have inside of me is pink. All right. I feel good. All right. I want to express that to anyone that I'm talking to. And it's a parallel, right? You're in uniform, you're in browns, you're in blues, and your camouflage. And pink is the extreme, so there's a storyline. And so when I share with people about personal branding and what their story is and how they can express that, they have to look at the parallels from where they were to where they are at right now, and how they move to the next, whatever that next is. And certainly wardrobe refreshments. I call them refreshments because I refresh all the time, okay, with these wardrobe. But it can really invoke a different type of feeling. So I really didn't know how great of a leader I was until after I retired. When I was in service in the uniform, I would beat myself up on a regular basis for conversations that I had that didn't go well, for a decision that I made that went sideways, for, not having uniform squared away, but my uniform was mostly squared. But sometimes, there were days that I was just like, I didn't shine my boots today. I don't know why, but I didn't shine my boots today. Or I forgot my hat. I left my hat at the house. How am I going to get into the building? I mean, there was so many different things that were happening that I would just be like, you know what, Rochelle, you just not doing, you are not doing well. And I would just scrutinize and criticize every little thing. But then when I look back and I saw what was written on paper, I saw my medals for the first time. I had never read them before when I was in service. I mean, like, you would hear them read it, but after that, I would just put them away. All right. So I took out all my medals. I took out all of my evaluations, all of the awards that I have ever gotten, because I had created a little book for them. And I just started to look through them. And I realized that I had been leading with excellence for decades. For decades. So why in this next, okay, do I feel scared and feel like I'm not in control? I had to really think about these feelings. and really counter them. So that way I could start to move into this woman that I wanted to become in this next. So the struggles are real. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. If anybody's in transition, through a major transition, whether or not it's from a military or from the federal or from a long career, or there's a major life transition, the struggle is really real, because change of any magnitude is always messy. Something about change, it comes with a lot of things that we weren't expecting to happen. Like, we all have this plan of how we would like things to go. Then all of a sudden, something else comes in and it messes it all up, right? So, again, when this change was happening, and I didn't understand it and didn't realize it, but one of the things I kept asking myself was, what type of impact do I want to make? I was making impact in the military. Believe me, I was mentoring thousands and thousands of airmen and thousands of officers and thousands of our civilian community, and yet and still I'm over here thinking, I don't know if my best years are yet to come. Like, I've already had them. So what kind of impact can I make? Like, truly make? Good evening, Queen, and happy Sunslay. Thank you so much for being here on the Slay to Success Talk Show. So good to see you here, Queen. So if you got anything to add, please come up and let's have this conversation. So, I had to really learn about me and things that I liked while I was in military service, I don't like now. There are some things that I just won't do that I was doing in military service because it was not serving me well. When I decided to change my schedule, y'all, like, I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning, as many of us do, right? Because, like, the early bird catches the worm. Okay, great, right? My body now does not get up until about 7. And that's without the alarm clock. That's how I want to live my life. Now, I decided to become an entrepreneur to make impact in this next, without realizing how much work it really takes to become an entrepreneur. But if I was to do it all over again, like if I were to go back to 1 October 2021, I would not have changed anything. I would not have done it differently because it works for me. This path is not for everybody. All right. But what I decided to do is package all the great things that I had done in the military, all the things that they said I had been doing extremely well. I packaged it all up, and now I have a business. So if I can do it, you can certainly do it. All right. This is really about looking at what it is that you can do, that you can say, hey, I want to use my authenticity. I want to use my voice. I want to use my personal brand, my image. I want to use my expertise and my skills to give back in a different way, to serve in a different way. All right. That's why I believe that all of us who are rewriting our chapter, we have more than enough. We have more than enough. All right. To take on a challenge of working for ourselves. Okay. So Chevy says, my body naturally gets up at 5:30 without the alarm clock because I have to get the kids out to school. Absolutely. They got to go to school. And AJ goes to school too, y'all, but he doesn't have to be at school until, at least on the bus, at 7:58. So I get up at 7, I slowly get going, and then he gets to the bus stop and I go downstairs and I work out. I mean, that's kind of the everyday schedule that we have here. So I understand. And transitioning is hard, but it's how we move forward. It's absolutely how we move forward. And so I didn't know that I was going through this change. Slowly over time, I started to realize that this change that I was making for myself was in alignment to the person that had always been there. All right. I'm not necessarily reinventing myself. All right. I am just looking, it's an unveiling. Okay. Right. Like reveal. I'm revealing the parts of me that I was suppressed. And I believe me, I had suppressed a lot when I was in military service because I wanted to do well in military service. I did well when I was in military service. Okay. So, but there were a lot of things about me that I wasn't allowing everyone to see. And this is why when people meet me, they see this authenticity that they can't really like wrap their head around, like, wow, she's just out here. And I'm like, yeah, I'm out here, but I'm out here in such a way where I understand what I want. I understand how I want to be perceived. I want to control the narrative now, which I do, because I tell you the story. All right. It's not the other way around where people are telling stories about us that aren't even true. Right. Okay. So Chevy says, you've done it and I've done it using our skill sets. Yes, we use our skill sets. And this is transferable. We have skills that are transferable to the civilian world. Don't let anyone ever say, well, what you did in the military, that's just like the military stuff. Don't let anyone minimize what you did in service. Most of the times we run in circles, okay? Run in circles around things because that was the way it was designed. That's how it is designed. All right. Hey Vita, how you doing? Welcome to the Slay to Success Talk Show. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm going to check in on the Facebook side here as well, y'all, because you know Facebook don't allow me to be great over here. Making sure there's nobody here on Facebook. Oh, look at y'all. Leslie, good evening. Speaking to inspire. Yes, ma'am. Vanity, we do. Glenn Roy's over there. Okay. Glenroy said, post-service identity hits different. I started the psychological work about me months before I left service. Mr. Cole became my identity when I was not in uniform. It was a weird transition from Sergeant Cole because I had gained identity based on military service. Absolutely. Vanity says, we do. Christina says, not sure I've ever seen you not wearing pink. I don't think I've ever not worn pink. Well, over the past, I would say, consistently over the past 2 years. When I first started out though, I was hiding. I didn't want people to see me because I didn't understand me. I didn't know what to say about me. I didn't know how to introduce me. So wearing anything that was a bright color would just be drawing attention to myself. And because I wasn't ready, I just said, yeah, no. But in the back of my mind, it was like, I just want to wear pink. I just want to wear this color. I don't know why it's calling me, but I'm going to do it. So, yes. Okay. And you know, when we did brand and photo shoots, everything is pink. Glenroy said, in service, we are programmed never to give ourselves grace. Grace is not something that is taught or even mentored. We have to find grace for ourselves in such a way that it galvanizes our individuality and purpose. Absolutely. And Kevin said, the biggest obstacle preventing you from being your authentic self is fear. You have it within you. Be who God created you to be. Yes. And that's what I was just speaking to, Kevin. That is just a great point. Is we are afraid to do things that we hadn't been doing for a very long time because, you know, either you do something and you get in troubles, or somebody says, no, that's not right, or you're out of line, or you're too much, you too that. And then so you start to shrink. And I started to really start shrinking. And it was sad, y'all. Even at the towards the end, I would be shrinking myself in conversations because I don't know if I was just tired. You know, you get tired after a while of hearing the same conversation over and over again, and there were same results happening. All right. And it's like beating your head up against a wall on trying to do something and it just wouldn't land right. So I always think about, where I was and where I am at now. And I have completely, there's a 360 happening. And the change is because I decided to package all the things they said that I had done well consistently over 3 decades and say, okay, if I can do that consistently in that type of environment, what would it look like when I do it without any strings, without any structure, if you will? The only structure is the one that I create. All right. There's no framework. There's no line items. There's no playbook that I have to follow. I get to do things my way and still make an impact. Like that right there for me has been the most mind-blowing, rewarding, so much satisfaction. The peace is unreal for me to know that I have the ability to help others and to bring out the best in them, and doing it based on the things that I have learned while I was in service. Hey, Tiffany, how you doing, Queen? What's going on? Thank you so much for dropping in on the show. And so this is all about repackaging greatness so it could open the new doors. There are new doors of opportunities all day, every day. When someone says, I don't know what it will happen if I decide to go out and do something on my own, and I say, well, just try it. Just try it. All right? The least that you could say is, I tried it. What I don't want to hear, okay, because now I'm at a place in my life, all negativity, all naysaying, all, like people and their ideas, and they're just random, crazy. I had it up to here. All right. But I don't want to have anyone say, I regret that I didn't do X, Y, or Z. And I say, well, let's not do that. Let's figure out how you're going to try. All right. Dream, dabble, do. I talk about that a lot when I go out and speak. I talk about like dreaming of what your day or your life or your business or your career or whatever that is, of how you would like for it to be. Dabble a little bit and then do something in that so that you find yourself exploring. This is the time of exploration. All right. Glenroy says our objectivity for ourselves and endeavors should not be subjected to the input and one-sided of others. We are multidimensional outside of the uniform, and once we find that we are able to flourish in our greatness and reach higher pinnacles. Yes, you're absolutely right. This is something I had to learn, Glenroy. Like, I did not know that I was multidimensional. I really thought that I was only built for military service. Literally. Like, because I did it very well and I was successful, I just saw the one lens. And when I started to tap into my other interests and, just see what it was about, I realized like I have all these different layers of me that I want to share. I want to help. It's unreal the amount of vision we can have, the clarity that we have when we're not in the fog of service. Service was for me when I was in service, and I don't take any of that away. But I'll tell you, in this next chapter, that these past few years, I've realized that I was destined for more, way more. I was limiting my thoughts as to this is it. And then I just said, I'll just start doing things that I really enjoy doing and let me see what becomes of it. And y'all, I have met so many people. I have met so many people with different mindsets, different perspectives, different opinions, different lifestyles that, it opens up a whole new world for me. I've learned new things like StreamYard. We're here on StreamYard, y'all. I had to learn how this all works. Canva is another tool that you can use. I'm on LinkedIn every day. I had to learn how to do that. But what happened was when I started to show my truest self, things started to happen where not only did I grow personally, but I'm growing professionally. And professionally, I mean in the business. All right. So I even had an opportunity to contribute to a book about entrepreneurship. And it became the best-selling. So I'm now titled a best-selling co-author. If you would have asked this 16-year-old who was in Kokomo, Indiana, hiding behind balloons when I was on my birthday because I was so embarrassed about what I looked like and what I was doing, y'all would have been like, no way. This girl is not, this is not the girl. All right. But I have trusted and believed in myself and I put in the work. Okay. And that's the other thing. Packaging up your greatness requires work. This is just not all of a sudden it comes, right? This is a daily work. I'm working in the business every day. I'm doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Tiffany says, I think they might be one of my biggest challenges when it comes to take off the uniform. Very well put, Glenroy. All right. So she's responding to what Glenroy said. And, as you approach, here's my advice. So let me just get to pieces of advice or pearls of wisdom that I used to call it when I was in service, right? For anyone who is looking to become an entrepreneur or to do something differently in their next chapter, don't wait until you retire. Okay. Start thinking about these things a few years before. All right. Because you're not going to wear that uniform all your life. I'm just going to say that right now. All right. Think about what it is that you really enjoy doing and how could you turn that into a business? Okay. Say that's number 1. 2, don't take in advice to anyone who has not walked this path. All right. Meaning, when I started a business, you know what people were telling me? Why do you want to do that for? Why don't you just go get a 9-to-5? A 9-to-5 would be great, then that way you could just have that extra paycheck and you don't have to worry about, doing any of these extra things. Yeah, like, why do you want to work for yourself? Think about all the things you have to do with it. I'm like, you have never started a business before. This is just like when you're in the uniform when they say don't go on that special duty assignment or don't take that special job, but they have never worked it before. All right. It's the same when you're out here. Don't listen to anybody, all right, who doesn't understand and knows the reason why. There has to be a multitude of whys of why you're starting a business, because on the days that it gets really, really hard, and they will get hard, you can go back to one of those whys and ask yourself, hey, okay, why am I still doing this? And then you're going to get back up the next day and you're going to put one foot down on the other and you're going to go ahead and just move forward. All right. The other thing I would recommend is to find community. Okay. Find people, like-minded people. So here's what I did. I went on Facebook and I went on LinkedIn and I started to put in like women empowerment groups, women leadership groups, anything that was attached to like women who were actually active in the community. Like I wanted to see who they were, what they were doing, how could I contribute, right? So the first place that I went to was the Businesswomen's Network of Howard County. Now I live in Anne Arundel County, which is about 30 minutes from Howard County. But because of what they were doing in their community was in alignment with what I wanted to do, listen, I drive 30 minutes to go to their monthly meetings, and it's worth every bit of it because I'm in community with like-minded women. That was one. Two, I took advice from a woman that was in South Dakota, and she was actually part of our civilian partnerships. And she said, when you get there, join your local chamber, whatever that is. So there are chamber of commerces in every county, in every state. Not all are created equal. I'll just say that. There are 96 chambers throughout the DMV where I live, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So these things cost money. Okay. So I'm just going to tell you now, be very intentional about where you're going and who you're going to be spending your time with. So I invested not only in the Businesswomen's Network of Howard County to become a member, but I also became a member of the Greater Crofton Chamber of Commerce, which is in my backyard. All right. I'm now in the community and learning the lay of the land in which I live in, and really joining community, because you can start to think about like what you want to be involved with, so I go on a lot of activities. They have a lot of lunch and learns. I go to those. I'm also a member of the National Black Veterans Association, and so they also have their community. And I also have a community of other women and veterans that we go to brunch. We just went today. We were out there at the National Mall having a picnic outside. All right. This is all to say that I'm in community. All right. I know that when we're in service, that camaraderie, like people always there, you're never really alone, if you will. That could feel like it doesn't exist when you retire or when you separate or when you move on, right? So you have to get into community so that you can find out like what it is that you like to do, and in the meantime to really invest in yourself. So that's the other thing I had to learn, is about investing in myself. I didn't invest in myself when I was in service, meaning I didn't pay monies to anything unless the military said that I needed to. For example, Air Force associations, you pay your dues at the, what are those? The senior NCO, top 3 dues, top 5 dues, you had those types of dues. But, I found me a coach when I first started the business. And I invested in a coach because I didn't know what I didn't know. And I didn't want to come out here and just be like trying to figure out stuff and taking years for me to figure out. I don't got years. Okay. When I look at it, the grand scheme of things, I don't got years to be wasting trying to think about how to structure a business and how to scale a business. So, I invested in a coach, and I highly recommend, if you're looking to do that, that you invest in someone who's going to give you like the no kidding hey, this is how it goes. Here are some things you need to think about. Here are, the no kiddings you need to have, because when you set up a business, you got to be setting up a legit business. Okay. And I know here in Maryland, they do not be playing here in the state of Maryland when it comes to people's businesses. Okay. And make sure you have the resources. And I'm meaning resources, the monies to set up the business. There's a lot of fees, and there's a lot of other entities, if you will, that they'll be asking you for. So you just have to understand what you're getting yourself into. But once you understand that, then there's the freedom to work your business the way you want to work your business. Okay. Okay. So we got Glenroy here. Glenroy says separation from the military begins in the mind, not when we start paperwork to leave service. My exit plan was in play after my first enlistment. I knew that finishing college while I was in was something I wanted to do, so I did and graduated, having made the dean's list 4 times. This was in addition to being in the upgrade training for a new airframe, going to DY several times, and doing community service work with disadvantaged teens. Start doing what your heart desires well before you file for separation and receive that DD 214. That right there, Queen, King, this is gold, okay? When you say after your first enlistment that that's what you were doing, so I love this for you. I absolutely love this for you, because I was not there. I actually didn't sit down and have an exit plan until the day I came here to Maryland. And Tiffany who's listening, Tiffany was my executive assistant. And I'll tell you, if it wasn't for Tiffany, I wouldn't have gotten across the finish line. And she knows that. And I know that. Me and her were like 2 peas in a pot. And when it was time for me to retire, I asked for her to call all the people to come into the office so I could just get the checklist checked off. Because at the time, the mission was, we were heavy in a mission where I felt like I don't have the time. That was in my mind. I don't have the time to be walking around here around the space. I need these folks to come up in here and get this checklist. And at no point was I thinking about, oh, you know what? I need to step out and start doing some things, or invest in some training, or invest in coaching while I was in service. So hear me loud and clear for anyone that's still in service. Invest in a coach. You've got monies coming through. Okay. You get paid on the 1st and the 15th. I already know what that paycheck looked like. Invest in someone who can give you some, instruction, if you will, and some help, and some guidance of whether or not, like what entrepreneurship is, if that's what you want to do, or you want to go into public office, maybe you want to run for office or whatnot, right? Do that while you're in service. So that way, when you do exit, it's not a bumpy road or a daunting or scary road at best. All right. So I've got Dr. Daniel Richardson. He said, "Good afternoon, Mrs. Hemingway. Hope you don't mind if I clicked in. Listen, you in Slay Nation. Okay. So welcome to Slay Nation. And yes, please, if you've got something that you want to ask, if you have something that you want to say, don't be afraid. We all here in community. All right. So Tiffany said it was right after the COVID era, and it was hectic. It was difficult, but we got you there. It was very difficult. But you know what? All these things add up to the persons that we are today. And the more and more we step into what we are supposed to be doing. So I found out that this purpose that I'm in right now, like I have found my purpose, and the impact that I am making was already there. It was waiting for me. Okay. So I go deep in thought a lot. I go on walks. When I go on walks at night, y'all, I don't know what happens, but all these things start like coming into the forefront, like deep, 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 deep thoughts. And I really thought the other day about, you know, me being where I'm at right now, never really dreaming about this life that I'm living. And one of the things was, this was always there for me. You know how you go through like, because so like life and the way that it works, right? I see that there's like this cycle. You start something, you get better at it, you get, great at it, then you master that. You get to a certain point, and then that is kind of done, right? And then, unless you move forward and really accept where you're at and like take the next necessary action, you will not see what's been waiting for you all along. You won't see it. So if I would have decided to not pursue what I'm doing now, I would never been here. And I'm in a good place, y'all. I mean, life is good. I feel good. And I have no idea what's to come, but I am super, super excited about the journey. And so, I just want to leave encouragement and inspiration to anyone who is, looking at this new transition, maybe a change that's coming up for you. Stay the course. Okay, stay the course. It's okay. You're going to have highs and lows and in-betweens, but I can guarantee you things will start to work it out. All right. And Glenn Roy said, ABC, always be closing. This is a philosophy that salespeople use. Yes, they do. This philosophy is useful in the professional world as well. I will always fish. I was always fishing, basically assessing what my potential to be hired out of the service would be. The military makes us afraid to do anything but the military. Yes, it does. And I was one of them. And I'm not afraid to say that, because I think even me being of service for a very long time, you would think I would have known that, but I did not. All right. And maybe that was God's way of protecting me and guarding me from, like really looking into the future. He said, like, wait a minute. All right. We're not there yet. All right. I just need you to stay here for a second. Right. But I got more for you when you retire. And I certainly see that. Oh my goodness. Christina says, you are already so inspiring. Your consistency with everything you do is a great example of how to keep moving forward. Thank you, Queen. And the consistency is because I really wanted to prove to myself that I can do things that are challenging, that are not given to me by someone else. Like, I'm creating my own markers. And so one of the things that I said was, I'm going to show up on my shows. I'm going to show up when I say I'm going to go to events. I'm going to show up when I'm on LinkedIn or on my emails, because I know one person may be out there and may need word of encouragement. And if I don't show up, they're not going to get the word. All right. Especially in the community. So this is Slay Nation. And so all of us are change makers, trailblazers, influencers, people out making things happen every single day. And people look to us And so because I was poured in for, I had people in service that poured into me quite often. Now I have enough to pour out to everybody else. And that's just the way I see it. So giving back to the world, this is my way of giving back. And I didn't think I would make it to this point on some occasions, but I did. And so I'm going to make the best of it. That's what I'm going to do. So this has been the Slay to Success talk show. Just me today. Next week, I'll have a guest on the show. So come back 7 o'clock again. Or you can find me on Tuesday. Now let me make sure, y'all, because you know this calendar. Tuesday, yes, Tuesday morning. No. I'll come early. Okay, so Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I'll be on the Rise and Slay morning show because I have another appointment at 10 o'clock. But please, y'all, take care of yourselves. All right. If you have a dream or if you have something, I want you to start thinking about packaging it up, because that is what truly is going to write that next chapter. And step out and just see what happens. All right. Don't be afraid. Invest in yourself. Look for community and always be closing according to Glenroy. All right. So thank you so much for everyone that was here with me today. We had Chevy, we had Vita, Dr. Daniel Richardson, Glenroy, Leslie, Tiffany, Vanity. Who else? Christina. Thank you all for being here live with me tonight. And if you come back for the replay, just put in #replay. And as always, yes, she says invest in a coach. See, Chevy says it too. Okay. So we will be back here next Saturday or Sunday. I don't even know what day it is, y'all. Sunday night. So keep on slaying until you can't slay no more. And I will see you all very soon. Love y'all. Bye-bye.